picture, cut the lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every card by heart. Overture, cut the lights. This is it, we'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
Hello everybody, welcome to On With The Show. My name is Goose, I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about an interesting little topic that not a lot of people kind of consider entertainment, and that's WWE wrestling and Wrestlemania. Yes, Wrestlemania plays off this Sunday, pay-per-view. And the reason I'm going to talk about Wrestlemania is for basically because it is arguably the biggest pay-per-view of the year. It is one of the biggest pay-per-views that people spend large amounts of money to go see. They have WrestleMania parties where you can watch and yell and scream and have a good time. But let me give you an idea about WWE wrestling, because I know some people are rolling their eyes. WWE, or World Wrestling Entertainment, basically they have their own channel where you can watch classic matches, some current matches, and even some of their own little original programming. USA Network devotes 5 hours of prime time on Mondays and Tuesdays to WWE wrestling. They're big on merchandising. They're huge all over internationally. So it's only proper that you would want to speak about something that's so grand as WrestleMania. And as much as you want to kind of roll your eyes about this, it is very entertaining. They do call it sports entertainment. Yes, it is fake, but these guys do put their bodies on the line. They do entertain millions of people. They do get hurt. Some of them have suffered some great injuries. So let me give you my picks and predictions as we go through WrestleMania. We're going to start on the SmackDown side of the roster. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the tag team champions. Usos going up against the New Day, going up against the Bludgeon Brothers. Now let me tell you something, that is the dumbest name I've ever heard, the Bludgeon Brothers. You could have come up with something a little more original than the Bludgeon Brothers. But this is something that's played out, first of all, the Usos and the New Day, they've had this rivalry going on for at least a year. The New Day came over from Raw, where they were the champions there. They held on to the tag team titles for longer than any other tag team in history. And here come the Usos, who've been there for 9 years, and they have just tearing up, the SmackDown roster and the tag team division. They've pretty much beaten everybody. And then here come these two big guys, the Bludgeon Brothers, and they basically destroyed both teams at the last pay-per-view to set up this WrestleMania match. Who do I think wins? I think the Usos retain. I think that the Usos are there to prove something, that this is their first WrestleMania, and I think they have something to really, really prove to everybody that they are the team on the WWE roster. They've even beaten the SmackDown champs, the Bar. So I think you're going to see another great match. I think adding this third team, the Bludgeon Brothers, brings an interesting element to it. But I don't think either team, the New Day or the Bludgeon Brothers, are ready to take those titles away from the Usos. Then let's go on to the Fatal 4-Way for the United States Champion. This is champion Randy Orton going up against former champ Bobby Roode. And then you have Jinder Mahal and Rusev. Who do I think walks out with this? Amazingly enough, I think it just might be Rusev Day. I think Rusev might just walk away with his title for a third time. The reason I think that is because he has got serious heat coming into WrestleMania. At one point, he was one of the most popular wrestlers in the back. And he's really over with the crowd. People love this guy. And he's supposedly a heel. But there's, you're chanting, this is Rusev Day. Rusev. It might be Rusev Day. It just might end up becoming Rusev Mania. I think Rusev walks away. I think that this little thing between Mahal and Roode and Orton has played out enough to where this will set up storyline later on down, maybe even to a Survivor Series. And let's be totally honest. I know a lot of people have been on the case of Jinder Mahal. I want to let you know he's gotten better. He's gotten better. although his mic skills need a little work, but at least his wrestling skills have gotten better over the last few months. And I think that's one of the reasons why he just hasn't gotten over with the crowd yet, because they just don't believe that he really deserves to be on this great stage. I think he's still getting a pretty good push, but we'll see how this all works out. Then we go to, let's just say, probably my pick for match of the night, which will be Charlotte versus Asuka. Champion Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. You have Charlotte Flair, who has basically clamped her hands on that title. And she's basically owned up to her moniker, the Queen. She is the Queen of WWE in the SmackDown Championship. But now you have Asuka, who's had this amazing streak that has gone on for over 2 years. She's basically unbeaten. And she's climbed through the ranks through NXT. She held on to that NXT Women's title for over 200 days. 250 days, I believe. And just faced everybody and beat everybody. Here's the interesting thing, is that I believe this is the match of the night. I believe that both of these women are going to put their bodies on the line for this match. My thought, though, is this. I believe Asuka wins the match and wins the title, and then somewhere along the line, Carmella cashes in. Either it's going to be a triple threat match. Might even be a triple threat match. It might be where Carmella waits until these women have basically beaten themselves half to death, and then she cashes in for a triple threat, like a la Seth Rollins did in WrestleMania back 2 or 3 years ago. Makes a triple threat match and wins. Or Asuka wins the title, and either Charlotte kicks her in the head and knocks her out cold, or Carmella comes out of nowhere, hits her with a briefcase, knocks her out cold, and wins the title. I know this sounds absolutely strange and bizarre, but I think the reason I like this storyline and the reason I think this will happen is because it will give legitimacy to the women's Money in the Bank. She's held on to that thing for about a year. And I think this gives legitimacy to the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I think that she's been waiting for just the right moment where she can cash this in. She's tried a couple times on SmackDown and has failed. But I think this is the time where you're going to see, Carmella walk away with the title. And not only that, if it happens to where she does pin Asuka, she becomes the one that ends the streak, and then you have a great storyline between Asuka, Charlotte, and Carmella of who's going to get that title. And who's going to hold on to that title. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think you've got a great storyline that just might happen between these three women. Then you go to the WWE Championship match. AJ Styles, the champ, going against Shinsuke Nakamura, who won the Royal Rumble in order to face Styles at WrestleMania. Now here's the interesting thing, because I believe AJ Styles retains. I think it'll be a great match. I think it'll be fantastic. But I think he retains. I think he holds on to the title. And it's not unheard of for someone to win Royal Rumble and lose at WrestleMania. It's happened 7 other times. If you look it up, I believe it was Lex Luger, John Cena, Edge, all have won the Royal Rumble and have failed to win at WrestleMania. So I think it might be an interesting storyline for this to actually play out for another 2 to 3 months going into SummerSlam. I believe these guys will face each other again at SummerSlam, and that's when Nakamura will win the title. But here at WrestleMania, I think Styles retains it. I think he's really proven himself to be one of the big talents on the roster, and I think it would be, in my opinion, a mistake to have him walk out of WrestleMania without the title. I think he's really earned it, and I think he's proven himself to be the phenomenal one. Now let's go to the crazy match that is really set off. Daniel Bryan, who's been out of action for over 2 to 3 years. I'm going to say about 2 to 3 years with concussion symptoms. Sorry, and he's been itching to come back, and we've been wanting him to come back. And he finally gets his opportunity to be cleared, and he gets himself involved in a storyline with Shane McMahon. And him and Shane are going to be going up against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, here's a storyline that's also been playing out for months. It's been playing out for months. And I think it's really come to where this is what was going to happen. It was leading up to basically this match. The interesting part about that is that recently, Shane McMahon has come down with diverticulitis. I can't really pronounce it, but it basically it's an inflammation of the colon or the intestine, and it's pretty serious. It's basically something that if he were to get seriously hurt, this thing could basically kill him. So I don't think they're going to have Shane McMahon wrestle. I don't think he's really medically cleared to wrestle. I think that because the rumor has it is that he's not ready and it's not going to happen, basically. So what I think is going to happen is I think that come WrestleMania, there's going to be a storyline played out where Shane McMahon can't wrestle, and Daniel Bryan's going to be forced to find somebody else. Who is that somebody else? I think that he will pick to go up against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Well, it just so happens that for the last month or so, John Cena has been begging for a match. I won't say begging. He's been basically taunting The Undertaker, who is basically nowhere around. Now, I'm going to talk about this match a little bit later, because I think it serves as a purpose, because if John Cena does not having a match, if he's truly going to be sitting in the crowd, I would not be surprised if Daniel Bryan came out and said, Shane can't wrestle, I'm looking for a partner, and you know what, John Cena, I pick you. I want you as my partner in WrestleMania to go up against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Will you do it? And I think everybody will go nuts, and I think, well, yeah, I'll do it. And he'll leap over that barricade, and they'll be ready to wrestle these two guys. What I think is going to happen, and basically the stipulation is if Kevin and Sami loses, they're fired. They stay fired. If they win, they come back, they're rehired. And I don't think that you're going to have Daniel Bryan come back and not win. I think he's going to win based on the fact that, hey, here's a great triumph. We want Daniel Bryan back, and here's a great opportunity. And this will give a storyline that will play out later on where either Kevin and Sami will end up going back to Raw, or you're going to find that they're going to take some time off, because I think they deservedly need time off. I think they deservedly need to have I think they've been working their butt off for the last several years for the company, and I think they need some rest. I think this will be the opportunity for them to be with their families for a little while, and then you'll find it's 6, 7, 8, 9 months they come back and everything's fine, and you're going to see a new and refreshed Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to go to a break. So when we come back, we're going to work on the Raw side of the roster. Plus, we're going to work on some of the other matches that are going on for 205 Live, the Battle Royals, and is The Undertaker and John Cena going to happen? We will find out.
I choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
If the best criminal attorneys choose Patriot Bail Bonds, who would you choose?
Patriot Bail Bonds. We fight for your freedom.
We just got the keys.
People all over Kern County are sharing their stories.
So this is my very own closet. It is mine. I could put like some toys over there and then like some clothes over here.
This is your corner church.
There we are.
That's it. You did it.
What? I just bought a house.
Your story begins with Cornerstone Mortgage. Visit mycornerstonemortgage.com for your free homebuyer's guide.
everybody, this is Kelly Gladden with the Kelly Gladden Show, brought to you by Kerncast. Check out my show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. live. And don't forget to turn into Spectrum, Channel 11 on Friday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. where you can catch me there as well. God bless.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Bramer Law we do for you.
This is On With The Show. We're talking WrestleMania here, my picks and predictions for WrestleMania. I think this is going to be a great WrestleMania. So let's start with the tag team Raw. And it's basically the bar. You have Cesaro and Sheamus going up against Braun Strowman and we don't know. Basically, Braun Strowman won this battle royal for the tag teams all by himself. And he's pretty much kept in the dark of who his tag team partner is going to be. And I think this is interesting. I've heard two things. I've heard that Strowman's going to win the titles by himself. But truthfully, I think he's going to pick a partner. And I think he's going to pick a partner the day of WrestleMania. And I think that partner is going to be Elias. Now, why Elias? Because Elias has got an interesting push going on with the WWE. And I think he's just primed right now to win a title. He's already gone up against Braun Strowman, so Strowman knows what kind of person he is. And I think that at this point in time, I think that would be an interesting pick. I think Strowman will pick, hey, he has to pick somebody. He cannot do it by himself. So I think right now is what's going to happen is he's going to pick Elias, he's going to win the titles, and I think that you're going to have an interesting little rivalry going on for the next few months up until SummerSlam. Going off to the Intercontinental Champion, you have the champion, The Miz, going up against a triple threat against Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Now, this is going to be an interesting match because all three, I think, deserve this title. But I think this is at a point right now where I think the title is going to change hands. I think The Miz has held it on for a godly amount of time. And he's starting to spout out that he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I was hoping what would happen was that Chris Jericho would come back and challenge him for the title. Now, Chris Jericho's held that title 9 times. The Miz has held it for 8. I think it would be interesting to see a match between these two guys. But I think who walks out with the title will be Seth Rollins. I think he wants to be the guy on Monday night. I think he's primed to be the guy on Monday night to hold that title. I think, it sets up a storyline that will also go through to SummerSlam. So we're going to end up seeing a great match, I think, between these three. And I believe that we're going to basically see it all in the kitchen sink with this match. But I think the Seth Rollins walks out with the title. Looking at the women's division and the women's Raw title, you have Alexa Bliss, the champion, going up against Nia Jax. And I'm just going to say flat out, Nia Jax is going to win. And I think she deserves to win. And I think it's because she's overdue to hold on to that title. And a lot been made and said about her size. A lot of body shaming. And I think that is kind of like, first of all, I don't know where anybody's coming up with this storyline. Let's body shame Nia Jax. Because it just rubs me the wrong way. And I know it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And you got this Mean Girls type thing going on between Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, teasing and picking on Nia for her size. But I truly believe that Nia Jax deserves the title. I think she's long overdue to hold that title. And I think this is the time where she gets that title. And I think she holds on to that title until someone comes and tries to snatch it out of her hands. I think this is the time where she becomes the champion for at least until the end of the year, until the end of the calendar year. and until I think the storyline with her kind of fades away. But she's most deservingly of the title, and I think she walks out with it. Let's go on to the Universal Championship. It is Brock Lesnar, the champion. Brock Lesnar up against Roman Reigns, and this is something that has been developing. This storyline has been going on at least until I believe since the Elimination Chamber. Now Brock Lesnar, and to the irritation of some people in the WWE universe, he doesn't come to Raw very often to put his title on the line. Now this was a show that was built on people with champions putting their titles on the line and setting it up to where, but now for some reason you only see the championships change hands at the big pay-per-views. My opinion is the fact that I don't think Lesnar loses the title. I think Reigns holds on to it. I think Lesnar holds on to it. I don't think it changes hands. There are a lot of people who are saying that this is a time when Reigns is going to take the title from him, and he's going to hold on to it, and Lesnar's going to go off to do UFC, and I don't buy that storyline. I think Lesnar holds on to it. I think that you have a thing here where Paul Heyman comes out and says, if he loses his title, we're not coming back. And, of course, people cheered, and I was like, you're going crazy. But I think you've already seen this show before. You've seen where Lesnar basically just demolishes Roman Reigns. I think that Roman Reigns has gotten a tremendous push, but I'm not ready for him to hold on that title belt yet, and I don't think that it's just something that should happen. I mean, we've all kind of like sat there and he's really not gotten over on the WWE universe, and even when he's come out and as the face, no one's buying it. No one's buying. They think that this is all basically just a setup and a gimmick. I don't think that, I don't think that you're going to send your biggest card, your biggest draw away because you want the title to change hands. I think the title will change hands when Lesnar's ready to hand it over to somebody. And I don't think it's Roman Reigns. Moving on to another match, and this is Ronda Rousey. Yes, she's finally making her WWE debut with Kurt Angle in a mixed tags match against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And again, like Kurt Angle, I'm stumbling over my words again. Like Daniel Bryan, you're not going to allow Ronda Rousey to lose the title or lose the match. I mean, again, I'm really stumbling over my words. You're not going to allow Ronda Rousey to lose the match. Here's what's going to happen. And I think she's in the best possible situation because she's surrounded by Angle and Steph and Triple H, who have all been there for years, for decades. And I think if anything should happen, they're just the right people to kind of either cover it up or kind of like get her to realize, hey, you got to push back. So here's the thing. I believe that this is one of the biggest signings they've ever had. And you want to prop that signing up like it is gold. And I think having Rousey win, and I think having her win with Kurt Angle is the best possible move. And we all know that we've been dying to see Angle and Triple H go at it. Here's a great opportunity for that to happen. And not only that, that's going to be something I think could develop from WrestleMania into SummerSlam, into Survivor Series, quite possibly. So those are the matches on the SmackDown and Raw side. So let's quickly go over some of the other matches they have on the card. They have Cedric Alexander going against Mustafa Ali for the Cruiserweight title. And this is something that kind of happened because I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he was forced to give up the title because of legal reasons. And I know you're all yelling at me like, oh, can't you remember his name? No, I can't remember it right now. But this thing has been developing, this tournament has been developing, and I think you have the two best guys I think that you could put the belt around, either Alexander or Ali. I don't think you can really go wrong with either of these guys as your champion. And I think this could be something that could develop for the next few months for 205 Live. I think you've got something really good storyline with either one of these guys winning the championship. Then you have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and I haven't seen everybody that's been involved in this yet, but I'm going to make a bold prediction that it's going to be an NXT guy that wins this. I would like to see someone like Dolph Ziggler win it. That would be nice. But I think it's going to be an NXT guy, and I'm almost betting it's going to be one of three guys from NXT. It's either going to be Lars Sullivan, it's going to be Aleister Black, or it's going to be the big. It's going to be probably Eric Young. Probably Eric Young will come in. He'll make his debut and win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. But it'll be one of these three. It won't be a roster guy. It'll be an NXT guy that they're going to think about bringing up. Then on the same thing, you have the Women's Battle Royal. And I think it's the same thing. It's going to be an NXT entrant. And my pick for the winner for that is Nikki Cross. I think Nikki Cross is due to come up to the main roster. I think she's due to have a big splash. This is just the right spot for her to do that. She's going to come out with guns blaring and just start throwing people over the top rope, and she'll win that, and everybody will go crazy. I think, as a matter of fact, she was actually my pick to win the Women's Royal Rumble, but she didn't enter, and I was disappointed because I wanted to see her crazy. I wanted to see her craziness go around that ring. So let's finally, as I got a little bit of time left, talk about WrestleMania. Let's talk about Cena and Undertaker. Do we want to see this match? Yes. We want to see this match. We're dying to see this match. No pun intended. But I think you're at a time right now where the Undertaker, as he is, Mark Calloway, I think he wants to retire. I think he wants to take a step back. I'm really not sure if he really wants to come back to the ring and wrestle anybody. I think he's decided that he wants to take a step back, and he wants to basically be with his family. And I think it's kind of sad. I think we would love to see this match, but it's not going to happen. Would it surprise me if he showed up and they had the match? It wouldn't surprise me in the least. But I just don't feel like this is really going to happen. If it was going to happen, it would have been on the card for sure, definitely this last week during Raw and SmackDown. But we haven't seen it come to fruition. There is an interesting rumor out there, though, and I don't buy it, but I think it would be an interesting storyline. And if you remember, they had the Ultimate Deletion between Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, probably just a couple weeks ago, where Bray Wyatt was deleted. One of the rumors is that Bray Wyatt gets woken as the Undertaker, as the new Undertaker. Now, I don't know if that'll happen. I don't know if you really want to ruin the career of Mark Calloway as the Undertaker with Bray Wyatt being the Undertaker. I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't put it past WWE if they did this. But it makes for an interesting storyline, and it makes for an interesting, kind of thing that goes on from here. And I will be an advocate for Bray Wyatt because I thought he's gotten the short end of the stick, at least in the last year. And I think he's been kind of like put down. I think he's kind of lost his heat. And I think if they decide that they're going to give the Undertaker persona to him, it might revive his career, but at what cost to the legacy of the Undertaker? All right, I see we need to go to another break. When we come back, I got some movies that I want you to check out for this weekend. Don't go away. I'm Chris Scott with On With The Show.
live and direct from the Golden State. It's intelligent talk media, The Denise Gary Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Denise here from the Denise Gary Show. Having worked with top secret clearances, providing information and analysis to agencies and departments such as the CIA, the DoD, state, and the United States military, I look forward to bringing my professional and academic expertise to you, calling us all to take action on the most critical issues of our time, locally, statewide, nationwide, and internationally. As we learn how what happens overseas impacts us all here at home, together we'll connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to The Denise Gary Show. Intelligent talk media.
I choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
If the best criminal attorneys choose Patriot Bail Bonds, who would you choose?
Patriot Bail Bonds. We fight for your freedom.
Your home is perfect. Until it's not. We understand that life has its changes. As your family grows, we're here to help grow with you. Because taking care of your family is important to you. And important to us. Your story starts here with Cornerstone Mortgage.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
All right, we're back with On With The Show. Again, I'm your host, Goose Scott. And I wanted to end this show on some films and some things that people have been talking to me about. A lot of people have been asking me about what I think of the live production of Jesus Christ Superstar that played on Easter Sunday. I thought it was fabulous. I really liked how they used the entire stage. At first, I was trying to figure out what theater they were using. And then I think it finally occurred to me they were basically using a soundstage at one of the NBC studios. And but it looked like it was just a massive production, and I think that's what it deserved. It wasn't until the end that we actually noticed that they actually had the band in the rafters behind everybody on the stage, and I thought that was absolutely pretty interesting way to be able to do it, because normally they have the band in the pit playing for a live audience in a musical like that. John Legend was fabulous. He really pulled it off. I loved Alice Cooper as Herod. And what was interesting was, if you noticed, Alice Cooper didn't use one of those little wraparound microphones. He actually came out holding the microphone. I think that's basically because that's what he's used to. That's what he's comfortable with. But it was just a fabulous job. There were a lot of great symbolism. If you did notice it, at one point, I mean, the cross was used as a symbol throughout that entire production. And I thought that was very appropriate. I love the cast. Again, the great, the multitude of people, the diversity, yes, the diversity of people that they used for the cast, just fabulous. And I'm looking forward, because it looks like NBC has been continuing to try to do more live shows. They did A Christmas Story over the Christmas season. They did Grease. Each production is different, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they put on again as a live musical broadcast. Hopefully later on this year. Some movies that I highly recommend you go out and check out. I went and saw Quiet Place, and that was a fabulous film. It was a film that, and there's this thing in filmmaking where you want to be able to start in the right place and end in the right place. And what I loved about it was because it did exactly that. It dropped you right in the middle of this situation. Didn't give a lot of exposition. Didn't talk about how these creatures came about, whether they were in a lab or they were aliens that came out from the sky or whatever, or in Pacific Rim out of the ocean. Basically, it drops you in the middle of the situation, and you found out what was happening as you were with this one family. It was written, directed, and starred John Krasinski. He started in with his real-life wife, Emily Blunt. They did a fabulous job. And what I recommend, not only for filmmakers to watch this, not only because of, you want to find, the purpose of just starting in the right place and ending in the right place, but here's a film that didn't use a lot of dialogue. And the dialogue they did use was with American Sign Language. And it was amazing how you were able to communicate things without actually saying anything at all. You could see the terror on these kids' faces without ever having for them to say a word. For a movie to utilize the idea that if you make any sound, any noise, you could end up dead, it's just a fascinating concept. And I highly recommend you go see it. It's a solid A. Again, I mean, you can't go wrong. It scored 98% last I saw on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just well made, well done, and it utilizes this little area just perfectly for this film. And you only see four main characters in this whole film. It is heart-wrenching at times. It is, but again, it's the kind of film that when you think you have a chance to rest and breathe, it cranks up the tension even more. I like that kind of a film. It's the kind of horror thriller I like. I'm not into the big, bloody, gory films that get put out, but I love this kind of horror film. And if you want a good scare this weekend, go see A Quiet Place. It is fascinating. It's a great film to watch. And the soundtrack was even, with the music and the sound effects were just. I mean, this was for any filmmaker out there that's watching this, you need to go see. Sit there and take notes. It's a great film. Some movies, The Red Box, I checked out, and you may have already, if you've seen the Kelly Gladden Show, you already know I was going to talk about these three films. Murder on the Orient Express was a film I was going to check out in the theater, and I just didn't get a chance to get to see it. And starring and directed by Kevin Branagh. He really takes the Agatha Christie novel almost to heart. It is a great film, and you have an all-star cast with Leslie Odom Jr. and Daisy Ridley and Willem Dafoe and Judi Dench and the great Michelle Pfeiffer, and it's just a great cast. And the one thing I will have to tell you, though, is that it is a slow burn. You really have to pay attention in order to get what's going on, because it is a murder mystery. Johnny Depp plays a great. He's not on the screen very long, but he has a great role playing a gangster. So I like this film. I give it a B+. It's very well shot. Again, this is a film that you're really going to have to pay attention to in order for you to you to understand what's going on. Because if you miss something, you're just going to sit back, scratch your head. Wait a minute, what? I got to go back and find out why he's saying this and doing this. But it's a really well done picture. The other film I highly recommend this weekend is Coco. This was the Pixar animation film that won Best Animated Film at the Oscars, and this one really does a great job of, in my opinion, of portraying Dia de la Muerta. I'm getting a little tongue-tied this morning, but it's basically just about a young kid who does not want to follow in the legacy of his family. And he wants to be a musician. Only there's a little bit of a conflict with him becoming a musician. And so in an effort to try to prove himself, he ends up on the other side, which means he ends up in the land of the dead. And he meets his relatives, and they need to get him back before he becomes a permanent fixture in the land of the dead. It really portrays this very well. I was very, very pleased with it. It's very colorful. The story is fantastically done. Of course, it's a Pixar film. And so I think this is a great film where you could sit, and it's a great family film. It's a great film where you can sit down with your kids and you can learn something about this great, rich culture of Dia de la Muerte. I will get this correct. And find out how they honor their relatives that have gone and moved on. As a matter of fact, I have kind of put up pictures of my family members and hoping that I will see them soon. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a really good. It's a heart tugger, and you're gonna love it. The third film I saw, I got from the Red Box that I really highly recommend and I really enjoyed was Justice League. Now I know this movie got a bad rap. I know there are a lot of people who did not like it. I'm not one of them. I really did like it. And I think one of the reasons why people are so critical of the DC films is that they're trying to compare them to the Marvel films, which is an unfair comparison. The Marvel films basically are done, Bryan Singer and Stan Lee, they have their own way of doing, having their Marvel films done. And they come out, basically their plan was, before Avengers, was that they were going to introduce the main three, which was Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. And when they came up with the Avengers, they added a couple more along the way. And it basically, it's how they started. They had their single films first before they had them come together. A lot of people thought DC would follow in the same footsteps. And they didn't. They decided that they were going to go back to their roots. They were going to find some of the best comics that had been written. And they basically brought Man of Steel together, which I enjoyed. Again, a lot of people were kind of like on the fence about it. But the thing about Justice League was that you were able to find out about these characters, again, without a grand exposition. You were able to find out about Cyborg and about Flash and about Aquaman without having these grand expositions of how they don't have solo films coming out until after Justice League. And I'm looking forward to seeing these films. Jason Momoa plays Aquaman is a great pick. He really nails this. He's like, I picture him, he's almost like The Rock, in my opinion, the way his bravado comes out in this role. He's not a lot of people have always thought of Aquaman as being the weak link. He's the guy that talks to fish. No, Jason Momoa made him out like a badass. Okay, and I think that is exactly the kind of where DC is going with this. And I think that it's because that Christopher Nolan and Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder, I will eventually get this, they are putting together a world in DC that is different than Marvel. And I think that's the problem, is the fact that people are seeing these great Marvel films, and they're trying to compare the two together, and you really can't do that. You've got to take it for where they're at. Wonder Woman is, in my opinion, and I know I'll say, Black Panther is the greatest, right now, it's the one that's exploding. My opinion is still that Wonder Woman is the best hero film out there. They created something with this team, and I think that, and unlike Marvel, this is a team that has come together, rather than, as Nick Fury wanted to get these people. They were all individuals, and now they're a team. No, this is a team that's come together, and they can and will sometimes work separately. It's a really good film, but you got to take it for what it is. And in my opinion, it really didn't do as bad at the box office as people have said it did. It's just they built these expectations of where it should be, and when it doesn't meet expectations the first week and the second week or whatever, it's a flop. No, this movie is really good, and all you have to do is just take it for what it is. And you may not like, Affleck's Batman, or you may think that, Cavill's Superman is take it for what it is. Okay, this is a good film, and I recommend it. It is, and could there be some improvements on it? Yeah, it's a good film. I give it a B. I think you guys really need to give this film a chance. So with that being said, I'm seeing I'm running out of time. What I want you to, at the Stars Comedy West Theater, Picasso at the Lapine et Gilles is opening this weekend. I go out and check it out. One of my dear friends is working on this show. It looks like it's written by Steve Martin, so where can you go wrong? Also, tonight, First Friday at downtown Bakersfield, come out and check it out. I will be around there floating around with my camera. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody, but go out and catch a show. I'm Goose Scott with the show. I'll see you next week.
Rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every part by heart. Overture, curtain lights. This is it. We'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show. This is it.